Today we welcome dietitian Andrea du Plessis to our channel. She's a dietitian but also passionate about food and nutrition, and we want to talk about the difference between margarine and butter and have a look at nut butters as well. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you.
So Andrea, what is the difference between margarine and butter?
Well, there's a big difference. I mean, even though they seem similar, margarine and butter are made from different ingredients altogether. Margarine is made from hydrogenated vegetable oil. So, in other words, an oil that's highly processed to change from a liquid format into a solid format, basically to resemble butter. And we know that butter is made from the fat from cow's milk. And with the manufacture of margarine, obviously it's a very processed product. Unfortunately, it's not the healthiest option.
Very convenient though, because you can spread it really easily, where butter on a winter's day is a difficult thing.
Exactly. So I think looking at the research that has been done, evidence shows us that using butter sparingly is probably better than using margarine regularly. So I think what we need to look at is, do we really need to use butter and margarine daily? My opinion is not to use margarine at all.
Great.
Even though they
Glad to hear that.
even though they sometimes carry endorsements by health foundations, and even though we're led to believe that they could add health benefits to our diet, I'm curious about why that would be, because you still have a highly processed product. Sunflower seed oil, canola oil, and olive oil are all in a liquid format, and it requires lots of processing to get it into a solid format. And we know that processing of oils diminishes the health benefits and sometimes leads to the addition of harmful elements in a food product.
So it's all unnecessary, really. Is there a trick that you can give us to soften butter in a healthy way? What do you do at home?
Well, softening butter is the easiest thing. You could just leave it out of the fridge for a short while. And also, I think softening butter, I mean, we don't want to use too much of it either. Could result in us using more than we actually need. In my own household, I never buy margarine because I don't believe it's good for me. Butter I use sparingly, but in addition to butter, I use a variety of natural spreads. The one thing I make is olive oil margarine. It's not really margarine, so it's a spreadable olive oil. So you decant a bit of olive oil into a small dish and you store it in the freezer. So obviously, because of the cold temperature, the olive oil sets. And a nice thing to do there is you can add some natural ingredients like garlic and rosemary. And those ingredients are naturally functional. So apart from adding flavor, they also add health benefits.
So that's a natural vegetarian option to butter as well?
Definitely, yes. So for vegans, that is a wonderful, convenient, easy, practical way of having a spreadable item in your house without any animal product, or on the other hand, with margarine, any harmful ingredients.
And you mentioned earlier when we chatted that you use avo instead of butter.
Yes. So looking at where we use butter and margarine most often, instead of using butter on bread, one can use avocado. So if you have a lovely slice of avocado toast, you don't need butter at all.
And what do you think about all these new nut butters that's come onto the market? I've seen these good nut butters and not so good nut butters.
Well, I think all of us grew up with peanut butter in the house. And if you read the label of the mass-produced peanut butters, you'll see that it contains a long list of ingredients. Obviously, there are peanuts in there, but also hydrogenated oils, which basically means margarine is added into the peanut butter to make it more spreadable.
Right, so you're thinking you having peanut butter and you don't buy margarine, but in fact you're getting it in with peanut butter.
That's right. And further, if you investigate the label, you'll see with the mass-produced peanut butters, to give it that really yummy flavor, they add salt and sugar.
Lots of sugar.
Yes. So while you're thinking you're offering your family a healthy nut spread or a legume spread from peanuts, you're actually also adding the margarine, salt and sugar. So the best option available, I think, for a spread would be a nut butter.
Are they all created equally?
No. So once again, you look at the ingredient list. If we talk about peanut butter, it's not really a nut butter, but because it's so top of mind for many households.
It's a legume, right?
It's a legume, yes. So to look out for organic peanut butters and to read the list of ingredients, If the only ingredients in there are peanut oil and peanuts, that is the healthiest option.
Right.
So that would be one
And
option.
say like macadamia nut butter or a chocolate nut butter.
Yes.
What do you look out for on the label?
There are so many new options available, and I'm so excited to see all the different nut butters because I love nuts. Not only because they taste good, but they are so nutritious. So we can talk about the nutrient benefits of nut butters just now, but there's lots of different options. And your question was, how do you identify the healthiest options? Once again, you have to read the list of ingredients. If you have something like a chocolate-flavored nut butter, once again, you don't want to see sugar, salt, and hydrogenated oils in that
So that's
butter.
not an inevitable that you have to have that.
No, definitely not. I mean, there are definitely healthy options available. And the nice thing about nut butters is that to get it into a spreadable format, you know, if you compare plant oils like olive oil, canola oil, avocado oil, they're not spreadable. So nuts, because if they ground up and mix with the oil, they are spreadable because of the consistency the nuts actually provide.
Right.
And that also holds the health benefits. So by using nut butters, you're adding health benefits and proper nutrition into your diet.
So let's go one step further. If you want to eliminate eating too much bread,
Yes.
how would you consume nut butter if not spreading it on bread?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that question because the question I most often get is, what should I use, margarine or butter? And my answer to that is, do we need to eat so much bread? I know there are lots of people that are embracing an eating pattern where bread and refined carbohydrates are eliminated. So if we look at where the nut butters can fit in there are so many options. You could make your homemade bars and little nut and date balls with that. You can also use the nut butters in smoothies and smoothie bowls. You know, the little bowl where you have lots of concentrated health foods, and nut butter adds flavor, texture, and health benefits.
Also, maybe an option for dipping carrots and celery sticks into a chocolate nut butter if you get tired of basil pesto or olive pesto.
Definitely. If you look at dipping sauces and entertaining people, we often fall back on commercially made dips and dressings and things like that usually are not very healthy for us. So introducing nut butters into your household definitely stimulates the creativity. I love chocolate, and I know that cocoa is very good for me, but I also know that the chocolates available often contain too much hydrogenated fats and sugar. So by using nut butter and a good quality cocoa powder, you can mix your own blend of a dipping sauce that is sweet, or something that isn't sweet. You can mix cocoa powder into a nut butter, and it really provides a wonderful either spreadable format, or you can make those little nutritious balls and bites.
Oh, we're going to have to get you back here to teach us and show us share some recipes with us. I'd love to have you back.
There are endless options because looking at nut butters these days, I mean, you have almond nut butter. Almond is very good specifically for its calcium content, good dietary fiber. Macadamia nuts are quite popular, especially in the banting community, because it's the nut with the highest fat content.
Yeah, you sort of brushed around the banting earlier on when you talked about bread and cutting out bread. I'm going to have to ask you, when you're looking at the consumption of butter in a banting diet, my concern would be compliance, because as soon as you hear, no, it's okay to use butter, the word moderation goes out the window. So I think to sort of try to compensate between the overuse of butter, let's rather include nut butters.
I totally agree with you. I mean, the focus on low carbohydrate diets and the banting diet specifically has been embraced by so many people with so much joy to understand that they can eat saturated fats. But as a dietitian and as a scientist, I know that too much of a good thing can also be bad for us. And moderation is very difficult to practice with something like butter. I think most people don't realize how concentrated it is as an energy source. And we don't need so much. And also looking at the people that tend to overconsume on butter as part of a banting diet don't normally stick to the banting diet as religiously as they think they do. So I think we have to look at moderation and a balanced diet.
This was so valuable. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Well, thank you very much.